Hello, my name is Manasith, and this is my reading letter. A little bit about myself. My name is Manasith. I'm Thai. Been ISB since 7th grade, and my hobbies is to play games. This is all I do. Not much of an avid reader, and yeah, we'll get to that why I'm not much a reader. But first, here's my reading letter. I've read 7 books with a total page number of 1,617. And the easiest book I have read is a collection of poems by Taylor Malley, by the title "What Learning Leaves." He visited us many years ago, so that's my easiest book ever read during this semester. My second easiest book was "Hole in My Life," which I don't have on hand right now because I returned it, by Jack Gantos. That was kind of easy. Yeah. And my third easiest book, or third on the list, from easiest to hardest, is Animal Farm by George Orwell. Um, Easy language, but really, like, you gotta know history to understand it. The next on the list is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Um, really deep meaning inside. And then my two hardest books are World War Z by Max Brooks. Really interesting, but really hard. My hardest book is Reality is Broken by Jane McGonigal. I don't know how to pronounce that, which is a really good book, really interesting. It's about video games, that's why I'm interested in it. Yeah. Okay, so my reading life. Well, how I how have I built my reading life is pretty much I read books. I read a lot of realistic fiction books. Like, out of all my lists, I have um one, two, like four realistic fiction books. Like, I really like realistic fiction. I'm not really into fantasy, but usually um I like to read books that I'm interested in. Like, for example, this book, I'm really into games. That's why I chose this book, and it keeps me reading. And I'm a really slow reader, so if it's a book that I'm not interested in, for example, like this book that I abandoned, um, I read it for like probably 2 hours, and I only got to chapter one. It's it's hard, but it's also not really interesting. So like I just stopped reading it. Um, and that's why I do quite a lot. Sometimes is I abandon books because it's really hard for me to read books that I don't really like reading. But whenever I find a book that I like, when actually like I'm interested in, I read like really fast. I really just want to find out, okay, what's gonna happen, what's gonna happen. So yeah, my reading life is been usually books that I'm interested in. Yeah, and I have changed a lot. I Right now I'm pretty into romance novels, but I haven't read any yet. I'm going to try to find one from a library. Uh, I I'm still interested in like apocalyptic books like World War Z, like post-apocalypse. Well, this is during, but yeah. And also like The Road is a post-apocalyptic book. Let me try to find it. Here you go, The Road. It's really touching in the end. It's like, whoa, dude. Uh, and how have I challenged myself? Well, I have read a lot more. I try to read more and more. But like, well, reading on the internet doesn't count. So then, okay, I'm gonna force myself. I gotta read books. I gotta read books. So yeah, like, I have read a lot more. Like, if you asked me in freshman year in like ninth grade, I probably would have read like realistically like 3 books the entire semester. And I mean, I wasn't really a reader back then, but now I'm starting more and more to like reading. Especially now I know that, okay, if the book is interesting, I'll actually like read it. But then it's sometimes really hard to find an interesting book for me. So then sometimes I'll force myself to read a uninteresting book, which doesn't work sometimes. It'll just take me like forever to read one. And how do I challenge myself? Well, I try to challenge myself by reading different genres, see if I like any of them. Which, yeah, sometimes I just pick up a random book and it happens to be interesting, so I like it. So like I challenge myself by reading different genres. I just don't want to stick to like realistic fiction or anything. Well, this book isn't even fiction. This book's um it's like a research kind of book where it's like someone does research and then she tells you um what she finds out. So my reading life hasn't been really prosperous. I don't really read much, but I try. I try to read more. Like before bed, I always read now. I don't do anything else. And yeah, that's my reading ladder. Thank you for watching.